Move over Toorak and Mossman, this property in the regional Victorian town of Moe has been valued at $2.3 million by the Victorian government.
There's no power, there's no water, there's only access through the easement that's there. It's basically a battle axe block.
Where did they pull $2.3 million from for this block?
We have absolutely no idea, and there's no one giving us any indication of how they came up with that figure.
It's 9 acres and mostly covered in grass and about 135 kilometres east of Melbourne. It's one of multiple properties the couple owns.
At the moment, it's probably worth more money for hay than anything.
What you see is what you get.
Emily and David Gridley run a small towing company. They bought the land to store cars in 2020 for $440,000. In January, they were shocked to receive a $32,000 land tax bill after the property was valued at more than $2 million.
There's no rhyme or reason or quantification as to what's going on. So it's like they're saying it's going up, but the reality is that it's nowhere near that.
This wasn't the first time the property had been overvalued. Last year, they received a land tax bill of $20,000 after it was valued at $1.6 million.
All you can do is put in an objection.
Emily and David sent objections to Victoria's Valuer General. They were successful when an independent assessor determined the site was worth $770,000 for both years.
I don't know how you can say that a block has risen in value twice in 2 years by 100%. It just doesn't make any sense.
The Valuer General's office told 7:30 the property was overvalued due to incorrect planning information.
I've had clients who've got discrepancies in valuation, millions of dollars. I've had a client who purchased a property at a public auction for probably around $3.5 million, and the site value for that property was being assessed at $5 million.
Before 2019, councils were responsible for land valuations in Victoria. 2 years ago, the Valuer General in the Department of Transport and Planning became the sole valuation authority across Victoria. Tax experts say since this switch, there's been a sharp jump in land tax bills.
I think if you actually trace back to the Valuer General of Victoria taking over valuations from local councils, they've been a lot more aggressive in terms of the values accorded for different properties here in Victoria.
Tax lawyer Thomas Abraham is taking me through the complex changes to land tax in Victoria.
I'm finding it increasingly more daunting, and it's just hard for a taxpayer to just keep up to date with the changes.
In 2023, the Victorian state government reduced the threshold for paying land tax on properties. It used to be second properties valued at $300,000. Now it's been reduced to $50,000.
So this is one of the biggest changes in my view for land tax here in Victoria. So as you'll see in that first point there, it used to just be in 16 inner and middle suburbs here in Victoria. But as of this year, that has increased to the whole of Victoria.
Over the last few years, the Victorian state government has expanded and increased a range of taxes to claw back debt accumulated during COVID.
I've seen situations where people's bills have actually tripled over the course of 1 year.
There are about 2,000 beach boxes in Victoria. Most of them are on the Mornington Peninsula.
Well, most people just thought it was a tax grab by the government and were very frustrated and if not furious.
Last year, the State Revenue Office, which collects taxes on behalf of the state government, incorrectly sent 71 beach box owners a land tax bill. Some were up to $5,000.
The beach boxes sit on Crown land, so the government has no right to charge land tax for it.
Peter Clark is the president of the Mornington Peninsula Beach Box Association. He says the State Revenue Office hasn't explained why the error occurred.
It used to be the local councils did valuations for rate notices. That's changed now to the Valuer General, and I think it's certainly far less transparent.
7:30 asked the State Revenue Office why the mistake was made. A spokesperson told us the SRO is unable to comment on individual taxpayer matters. Businesses are also feeling the impact of the increased land taxes. In Dandenong, in Melbourne's southeast, Matthew Fogarty runs a sheet metal company which manufactures air ducts.
So if you've seen Die Hard or Mission Impossible, people crawling through duct, we make that sort of thing.
In 2020, Matthew bought the company from the Cook family, who started the business in the 70s. Ray Cook still owns the 3 factory buildings. Matthew rents these buildings from him.
And our next tranche of lease is due to be negotiated in January.
But that won't happen. Ray was hit with a $55,000 land tax bill across all his properties in Victoria. So he's decided to sell his Dandenong factory.
He said to me, look, he can't pass that on through the existing lease, so he's effectively forced to sell the properties, which would mean for us that we're basically out on the street.
Matthew says he can't afford to buy the property when it goes up for sale. He's now considering moving to a smaller location further out from Melbourne.
I would think it'd be a 6-figure relocation. Pretty stressful, really. You think, what happens? Does the business go with us? Do our customers come along? There's a lot of unknowns there.
I think long-term consequences, it will kind of put Victoria especially at a disadvantage compared to the other states. I've heard quite a lot from some of my clients who've just said it's just not viable anymore.
7:30 requested an interview with Victoria's Treasurer, Jacqueline Symes, to discuss how the state government's increased and expanded taxes are affecting businesses and landowners. Her office told us she was not able to participate in the story. In a statement, a Victorian government spokesperson said land tax does not apply to homeowners or renters. But Matthew Fogarty says his business has been impacted.
I take the responsibility of 20 people's mortgages and families and feeding their kids here very seriously. I really feel it's an unfair system and targeted at businesses, which is no good for anyone.